This is the Unstarving Musicians Podcast. I am your host, Robonzo. The podcast features conversations with me and indie music artists, musicians, industry professionals, all to help other indie artists be better at marketing, business, the creative process, and all the other things that empower us to do more of what we love. Make music. I'm getting pretty good at this. You're like, what are you talking about? It's the timing. It's the timing of that make music thing. I get excited when I get it right because I've been doing it sort of like live lately. Welcome back. I hope that you're doing well in this weird time. If you want to check in, I'm interested in knowing how you're doing. Just go to unstarvingmusician.com/feedback to email, direct message, text, leave me a voicemail, whatever, man. I would love to hear from you. It's afternoon for me. Temperatures are lovely this afternoon. It's 29 Celsius, which is about 84 Fahrenheit. Yesterday it was 26 Celsius, 79 Fahrenheit. Felt like winter in the tropics. I mixed some drums today. That was fun. Laid down some acoustic drum tracks for a good friend who gave me this funk tune he's written. I love it. Hopefully I'm going fast enough for him. I'm a little slow lately with the recording. I love it though. I gotta get faster. I want to be a quick turnaround guy with quality work. It's my goal. This is another alt in between episode, by the way. It's one of a 3-part series related to the world of online music collaboration. And it's really turned out to be more than what I expected. It's pretty exciting stuff. I'm very intrigued. Trackd is arguably one of the more interesting approaches. I would love to check it out someday. I'll tell you more about that in a second. Would you like to support the podcast? I know if you like the podcast, you do. So one of the ways you can do that is by subscribing on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. Unless it's on Spotify. I don't think you subscribe there. You just stream it. It's like a spotcast. That's what I'm calling it from now on. The other thing you can do is join the crowd sponsor effort. So the podcast is made possible by generous donations from listeners like you. And at unstarvingmusician.com/crowd sponsor, you can learn about making a supporter donation. So I'm going to be setting up executive producer donation levels. So if you want to get mentioned on the website and on the show as a producer or executive producer, that's going to happen real soon. And I'm also going to open up some special sponsorship opportunities. So if that's how you would like to make a donation, or maybe you just want to make a donation and not be mentioned or get anything, I don't know. That's cool too. I love that. But maybe you want to have a sponsor read on the podcast for a product or service that aligns with the Unstarving Musician. I would talk about it here on the show, so that's coming real soon too. Maybe by the time you hear this. And if not, just send me a message. Go to the website. You can find my contact info. Send me a message. Let me know you're interested. I'll set it up right then and there. So yeah, the topic of this episode, online collaboration, is related to an article I'm working on. And like I said, it has turned out to be super interesting. My guest in this particular episode is Grant Tilbury of Trackd, the mobile app. It's an 8-track studio for capturing ideas which are shareable via the app or on social. It's also a platform for collaborating on a track online. Pretty cool stuff. I actually found out about them because of an article on the Abbey Road Studios website. That's pretty cool for them. By the way, before we get to my conversation with the guest, the question of the day is, do you have an artist or band website? Are you happy with it? Do you not even have one? If not, I want you to check out Bandzoogle. It's the easiest all-in-one pro website platform for musicians and bands. And I care because having a solid website is one of the things that you can do to ensure that you are in control of the business of your music and your fan-based community. And community is where it is all at for indie artists. If you don't yet have your own website or you are unhappy with it, go to bandzoogle.com to start a 30-day free trial. You can use the promo code Robonzo to get 15% off your first year. How cool is that? And plans start at just $8.29 a month. It's really easy to use. You don't have to worry about plugins or security updates because Bandzoogle takes care of that for you. I use it and I love it. You can check out my website at robonzo.com. Check it out for yourself. Go to bandzoogle.com. Use the promo code Robonzo, ROBONZO, to start your free trial today. So yeah, Trackd, the app in this conversation that Grant Tilbury is part of, they caught the attention of Dave Stewart, that guy from the Eurythmics. He actually ran a contest on the app, submitted a track and ran a contest for collaboration. That is a cool story. And they have other stories like that too. Grant and his team believe that a new set of tools are emerging that could help artists make money with their craft while helping them collaborate. We talk about this as well as trends that the Trackd team is watching, questions they want artists to help them answer. That's you. And their philosophy and approach to this growing space and a whole lot more. This is a great conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Here is me and Grant Tilbury of Trackd. I don't know if you know, but you guys were mentioned in a blog post or article by Abbey Road Studios, which is how I found out about you.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, funnily enough, I did know this because an artist said the other week that they discovered the app through that article. So yeah, it's brilliant. Very grateful to them for sharing that.
Yeah. It was a good article too. I've, as you might imagine, I've gone through, several such articles, and theirs was actually pretty good. It was informative, and it's a nice source to see someone mentioned in and to be mentioned in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an amazing place, and obviously it's full of incredible history. Funnily enough, I'm just around the corner from there, from Abbey Road. That's where I am in London at the moment.
How cool.
Brilliant place.
I'm really fascinated with the online music collaboration space. And as soon as I started digging into it, I discovered these things that I didn't know a few weeks ago, like Trackd and Soundstorming and Kompoz and all these different approaches. And anyway, so it's really cool to talk with you. So tell me a little bit about the type of musicians or music makers that use Trackd.
Right, so we have the whole kind of spectrum, really, of music makers. So we have everybody from complete beginners through to hobbyists, through to professional musicians on the platform. We have people from all around the world. There's 161 countries now that we have registered users in, registered artists in. They play everything from the traditional instruments. Bass, there's drummers, there's people that play brass instruments, strings, etc. So it's basically right across the kind of musical spectrum, really. So I think we have people that have registered themselves of playing didgeridoo, for example. So we have quite niche and specific instruments through to lots of people who are guitar players and piano players and across the whole board, really.
That's great. I would have to say that I think you're the first that I haven't spoken to a lot of people in the space yet, but you're the first to say that. I think it seems that everyone's kind of in a bit more of a niche in that regards. I think, although Kompoz, but they're a different model. They probably have a somewhat wide range of players, but I know they have definitely a predominant number of them. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that it's quite interesting how different different services, I guess, attract different types of musician. I think by and large, at the moment, we're seeing we do have a lot of producers on Trackd who kind of putting their music up the top line and things like that. There's an awful lot of that, but there is I guess because the multi-track nature of what we've built, we do get a lot of what I would consider, I guess, traditional rock and pop musicians, playing, guitar, bass, drums, and piano to capture their ideas. So we do. I'd probably argue that the majority of our audience do sort of play a kind of like more traditional type songwriters in that sense.
Yeah, as opposed to maybe electronics or beats or things like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We cater for that for everybody, of course, but sure. I think at the moment that's the kind of my observation. We're working with the artists that we have on Track.
Well, that's appealing to me. Although I'm very intrigued by what I consider another world, with electronic music and DJs and beats and everything, and just learning little by little more and more about it because of the podcast. But and I have recognized that there are services that cater quite well to that other part of the musician ecosystem. Are
Yeah.
there any trends that you guys are watching in the online collaboration space that you find particularly interesting?
Yeah, I think we're living in a fascinating time. I think collaboration is becoming definitely more accessible to more people. More people realize that they can do it using using tools such as their phone, and I think music collaboration as an idea has definitely gone from strength to strength. Trend wise, I think there's a willingness to kind of mix audiences. I think that the whole next lot of people who are going to be adopted streaming platforms and things like that, are going to be from the sort of non-Western markets and things like that. So what I am finding is people are active. I had songwriters actually ask me, "Oh, if you've got any musicians from say Latin America, for example, because we'd love to do a collaboration." I guess there's this kind of adventuring into sort of different musical worlds, and in their kind of attempt to kind of establish themselves in different music worlds, essentially. So that's one. I was listening to the new Pitchfork podcast this week that Pooja Patel's doing, and it was a fascinating article, a top piece on her show about this kind of like music memes, essentially. So there was the example they brought up. There was a producer called Young Serial who'd collaborated with a rap artist called Baby Frankie, and they had this song which went kind of viral on TikTok, and I thought that was quite interesting. It was that a purposely built music track to kind of ignite creativity and inspiration from people using TikTok and collaborate on the visual side of things. So I think there's this kind of merge of music and visual media and stuff at the moment. I think platforms like TikTok are kind of exploding that wide open, and I think hopefully there's going to be sort of new musical, sort of or sort of new musical genres appearing, or and I think that this whole kind of world we're living in at the moment, obviously during the pandemic, is kind of accelerated a lot of this stuff. I think there's going to be a whole kind of a new era of music collaboration with different outlets and different purposes.
My wife reads a lot of financial news, which is where I get a lot of my news,
Right.
from her. And she mentioned an article about TikTok, and there was a guy on there who's a big, I guess, privacy advocate, or he watches it anyway. I don't know if advocate's the right word, but he watches it a lot. And he was expressing a lot of concern about TikTok, and we all know, or maybe some of us don't, it's a Chinese-owned company, and that they're kind of gone to new extremes with tracking. And he admittedly is not a fan of Google or Facebook, even on these regards, but actually said that they do much better. And I mean, his cautionary word was, if you have children on TikTok, you really need to know that this stuff's going on, and rethink whether you want them on there, if you have any control on such things. Have you guys heard any concern in the music community about this?
I haven't personally, but I'm sure. Sure, there's a lot of people thinking about it. I guess we kind of just sort of monitor various news feeds. I think it's obviously a geopolitical thing at the moment between the US and China.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I noticed India last week had banned TikTok, for example. So I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens there. When you kind of start shutting down platforms and the internet in different ways. I think it's obviously gonna. It's kind of like it's strange because we live in this completely connected global world, and we've kind of got these I guess nation states kind of figuring out, well, how do we control this? Can you control it? Is it even? And obviously, I think privacy is an issue for that needs to be tackled and looked at with closer scrutiny. And how we deal with that, I don't know. I mean, I hope much smarter people than I can come up with the solutions and answers for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's fascinating from a music perspective. I guess just try and be as careful and vigilant as you are, and what data you give in different companies, or to try and, I guess, do your research on different companies and what they stand for, and what they do with your data, if they allow you to do that sort of thing. I think that's best practice. I should imagine.
Yeah, and I know that the music industry is starting to pay a lot more attention to platforms like yours. So maybe they will
Yeah.
help. They will help us wrap our arms around these issues, particularly for the betterment of privacy for the artists, of course, and their fans too, because obviously we're sort of walking into a new world of artist fan collaboration with all these tools, and
Hmm.
many of those fans and supporters becoming part of the creative process. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as well as, I mean, you have to be vigilant and careful, absolutely. But on the flip side, there's you mentioned it there. Like there'll be a whole new set of tools, hopefully before much longer, for artists to exploit and to create revenues, and new opportunities will be there. And hopefully it will uh, make more a level playing field, I guess, for musicians around the world to earn money from their craft, and to establish themselves.
yeah, I know that Trackd has been around since before COVID-19, but has the COVID crisis um, had some noticeable impacts on change of usage? Did you get an uptick, or some other things you observed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were so we've been around since 2016.
Okay.
When we launched the product, the current version that you can find at the moment. We had a steady, a steady rate of app installations and people checking us out and using it. But then obviously March hit, and it doubled overnight. It's absolutely incredible to see the amount of app installations we were doing on a week to week basis just kind of just go through the roof. Really, I mean, it's an awful situation. That aspect of it played into our hands, because we were providing a tool for people, for artists to kind of capture their ideas and help with their songwriting stuff. So I guess it's been good that we've been able to help musicians who kind of found themselves stuck at home with and figuring out what to do next amidst all the chaos that's going on around them. So yeah, we saw a complete sort of doubling, really, in the amount of apps being downloaded, installations, and also our sort of user sessions went through the roof as well. There's a lot more artists were spending a lot more time capturing their song ideas and multi-tracking them on tracks, and it was just, I guess, the other thing, I guess, that comes to mind is that not everybody has expensive home setups for recording. Not everyone has DAWs and the ways in which they can sort of demo things up quickly and make the same things seem professional. So I guess what's really nice about having an app like Trackd on your phone is that they can just fire it up and very simply get down ideas and play around with ideas. And I guess that's probably another reason why it was kind of like a go-to thing for a lot of songwriters and artists. Yeah, and I guess as well, people switching from artists switching their modes, and if not out on tour and go into the studio, that kind of thing, because they've had to social distance, etc. A lot of their thinking goes to, right, okay, what can I do at this time? And I think songwriting has become, is an activity that they knew that people can just do during this, during this sort of enforced period of downtime.
Yeah. Are there have you guys had, and not that they necessarily came from this moment in time, but have you had any cause for celebration over things that have happened, be it, a surge in numbers by misfortune of what's going on, or just some other things that you've seen? And I guess the question really is what have you guys been able to celebrate over the course of launching?
Of launching the app or during this
Yeah.
COVID. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry.
go ahead. Since launching. Yeah. Since launching.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We've had some really interesting stories, and we've hit some great milestones. We're over 250,000 artists using the app now, which has been brilliant. We've had, we've done some really fun things at music festivals around the world. We had our South by Southwest stage, and we had our Medium stage in France as well, which was really great. Dave Stewart from Eurythmics has come on board and has been a real ambassador for us and our artists. And during lockdown, he ran a competition,
Nice.
which was absolutely amazing. So having someone like that who sold 100 million albums and multiple Grammys, kind of coming on board and being really hands-on with our artists has been absolutely amazing. So just to give you an overview, he ran a lockdown competition where he put like 7 tracks down on tracks, and then invited people to kind of come in and create this, finish off the song with him. To which he then kind of went through all of the entries, and it chose a few. It chose an 8-right winner who had a cash prize, which was, and then carried on this kind of songwriting process, and he kind of got it mixed and mastered and all that sort of stuff.
Nice.
And now he's putting it out on his record label, which is a new label called Bay Street Records. And not just that, though, he took the winner and sort of got on with him so well. Our winner was an artist called Otto, a young artist who's based here in the UK actually, and he was writing music out of an old converted post office that he lived in, and he kind of struck up a great conversation with Dave Stewart through all of this, and then Dave's gone on and offered him a record contract now, so he's doing 2 EPs and an album, which is an absolutely amazing story to celebrate.
Yeah.
So that's been fantastic. Looking forward to hearing that. Some of the runners up in that competition, there was a saxophonist from Houston who, in a sort of very Candy Dolfer style thing. Obviously, Dave Stewart was involved with her previously, but that was quite interesting. There was another artist in Sweden as well who did more of a hip hop type entry. And she was, that was great. So it was quite interesting to kind of see how that all came together, and we've managed to celebrate some of those kind of great stories, that was sparked in Trackd.
Yeah, that's a real win-win too. I'm sure something that the industry would love to see more of. So very good. I'm glad I asked that one. And I believe I read maybe in the Abbey Road article that Dave Stewart was involved in some way with Trackd, and you kind of refreshed my memory there. So thanks.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, there's another artist that what I found was I like hearing these stories of artists working out there in the real world using Trackd to capture their ideas. So there's another songwriter who's I think he's based in Oregon. His name's Derek Nelson, and I know he was selected as a US ambassador, and he went to like Moldova and Albania, and he was on Instagram, and like that's how I found out about it. He tagged us. So, I've just used this app to record my ideas whilst I'm in a hotel room over here teaching. I think he was teaching songwriting to schools over there. And I just thought that's brilliant. So it kind of and I guess they're the real kind of things that we like to celebrate. It's like, right, okay, we're actually providing a tool for people who are using it, to create art and music, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, that's a nice story. Nice story. Is there knowing what you know about my, why we're speaking today and that I'm doing this article and some podcast episodes around this, is there anything that that I might be able to uncover in my research that you'd be interested to know about? Any questions you've kind of you guys have had sitting in your heads that
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been reading a lot of your articles in this past few weeks. I really liked your article about writing and recording music again. I thought that was a really interesting.
Thank you.
Couple of 5 points. No, I'm not just saying that. It's, and I guess it kind of covered your approach to it, and I think we're interested. I mean, we're super keen to learn what artists want. I guess. I mean, I was listening to your podcast with Dave Core from Bandzoogle, and I think that like Bandzoogle, we are, it's for musicians by musicians kind of ethos. So we like to ask a lot of questions from people who already use the app. I guess what we want to know is like what do how do we best provide tools that that are going to actually make a difference for actual working songwriters, session players, musicians, bands, artists, across the board. And one of the big things that we've been discussing a lot amongst the team here is like, well, how can we provide a toolkit where artists can make money, earn revenues from their craft and what they're doing, and what do artists think is fair as well. We're trying to build a platform and tools that have that are fit for purpose. So I guess that's the kind of thing that I'd love to learn from some of the work that you're doing with your research for your articles. I think that's always got to be at the forefront of our minds. What we're making, is it working, and will it help artists in some shape or form?
Just off the top of my head, asking my community is one thing. I could certainly do. What would be the most expedient way for them to communicate with you if they want to let you know the answers to some of these questions or thoughts they have about the app?
Well, we've got a mechanism within Trackd anyway. There's a button. You can go into the settings page, and you can fire us an email straight away. I'm happy though as well to I answer every email that comes through. My email address is simply grant@trackedmusic.com. So that's another way of kind of sharing thoughts and ideas. What we try and do then is we kind of look at it as a team, and if it's a case then, I guess, of either developing something within the app that's already been built but people want it to work in a different way, or we put it into our kind of development plan, so a little bit further down the line, it's something that we want to bring in. We try and kind of, as well, we try and prioritize. If we're getting lots of people asking for the same thing, I mean, I'll give you an example. Like one of the features we've got within Trackd is a tool where you can make a virtual vinyl. So it basically makes a little spinning vinyl disc that sits in your Photos app on your iPhone, and then people share that on Instagram, etc. And it's a square.
Nice.
So it kind of fits well with that. a lot of artists are like, well, how can I, a lot of people just love it, but I wish I could change the color of the vinyl, or I wish I could put my own label or my own sticker in the middle. So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting what people ask for. And then a lot of other people ask for very sort of, very practical things. One of the things that sort of came up, I can share with you, I guess, this week was I want to be able to put a cue marker on the timeline of the track, so I know when certain things start, or I just want to be able to label each track that I multi-tracked, and things like that weren't on version 2. And we might get like a whole bunch of our artists kind of going, yeah, this is great, but it's really difficult for me to find that. So that's the sort of thing that we're facilitating at the moment. But there's other ideas out there, and people might come up with ways in which they can that can really help the community and other artists, get their ideas and song ideas down and recorded, so how they can actually benefit and earn some revenues from what they're doing as well.
Yeah, cool. And final question, is there anything that you would like me to try to create awareness about, to the extent that I can, with regards to the app or just the whole ecosystem at large?
There's a lot of things that we're really conscious of about creating awareness of. We've just partnered with a great charity here in the UK, which is simply called the Songwriting Charity, and their work revolves around anti-bullying, Alzheimer's awareness, and music education at large. So they will go into schools, and they will, have classes on songwriting, for all sorts of reasons, therapeutic reasons, through to helping children and adults alike, to kind of get them started on a songwriting journey. So I think we're trying to kind of create awareness for them. So I think they're doing some fantastic work there. And then I guess the other thing that we totally subscribe to is the Broken Record campaign, which the Musicians Union here in the UK and the Ivors Academy started, which is all about addressing streaming, and fair streaming royalty rates for artists. Because in this current climate with COVID-19 taking hold and stopping artists from being able to create a living live, where they're going to turn to next. And I think that for too long it's kind of been, streaming's kind of been the shop window, and then artists would make their revenue from live music and performance, and obviously that's now been taken away. So there does need to be a conversation around that, in order to make it fair for music creators to to be able to earn better money from what they're doing, than what they have been at this moment in time. So I guess, that would be the kind of thing that we definitely subscribe to, and something we're trying to tackle as a business ourselves. We're a tiny startup, so but I guess it takes us all to kind of have a real deep think about how that works.
Are you guys all based around London, or where, are you all over the place? And how big's the team?
The team, we're a small team of 7.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some fantastic advisors who are dotted all over the place. So we've got we're mainly in the UK. So I was in Wales for years, but now I've located back to London. We've got a colleague of mine in Nashville, who manages bands, and he also kind of helps on the artist side of things. My colleague Richard Dyke. We've got Russell and Justin here in London as well. We've got Becca up in Northern England. So yes, it kind of is mainly UK based, but we do have some great people in other parts of the world. So and we're kind of building this thing, and hopefully we can provide our studio app to as many people as possible. Quite interestingly, though, 70% of our audience is in the United States, which is
That is interesting. Yeah.
which is I kind of put that down to I also sometimes feel like Americans in general are a little bit quicker to adopt and try something new. My countrymen here in the UK, I guess, can be a little bit more conservative and need to warm them up a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit more with that, which is interesting. But yeah, a lot of our users are in the US.
Yeah, it's a good insight though. Well, I wish you guys all the success in the world. I will have to try the app myself. I'm definitely going to tell my friends and the community about it. So
Thank you
yeah,
very
again,
much.
yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate your time today. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you asking us on, and I look forward to reading your articles. And if there's anything we can do for you, just let us know.
Cheers, man. This episode was powered by ConvertKit, which is more than just an email marketing company. ConvertKit is focused on landing pages too, giving beginner creators everything they need to start building their email lists. I've been using ConvertKit since early 2016 and I love it. Their new free plan allows creators to make unlimited landing pages and forms. You can choose from multiple templates, add personalization and design, and much, much more. The support is great, which is super important. You can learn more about ConvertKit and how they can help you connect with your audience so you can make a living doing the work you love by going to unstarvingmusician.com/convert or the show notes for this episode. Hey, thanks for listening. If you have feedback, comments, suggestions, or questions about the podcast, my guests, me, visit unstarvingmusician.com/feedback. You can leave me a quick voicemail right there on that page, right from your browser. All my other contact info is there too, and I would love to hear from you. You can find links, by the way, for just about everything mentioned in this episode in the show notes at unstarvingmusician.com/podcast. Thank you again for listening. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you sharing it with your musician friends and fellow indie music fans. Peace, gratitude, and a whole lot of love.